So very good morning aspirants. Here we will be discussing about the new unit here, that the first topic inside the unit of higher education, that is the institution of higher learning and education in India, right? If you look over on the topic, you would see that अगर आप देखेंगे एक topic पे focus करेंगे, you would see that here it is talking it about the institution. You have to be familiar with the institutions, that what are the institutions of the higher learning and the education in ancient India, and little bit we will be discussing discussion over on that their teaching methods and all. Basically, what were the subjects being taught in the institutions in ancient India. Okay, चलिए तो आगे बढ़ते हैं. तो first we will be understanding here the one we had discussed the in the logical reasoning. उसमें हम डिस्कस किया था कि that ancient educations in India, I think that was a topic that we had discussed it. Ancient हमने कुछ डिस्कस किया था जिसमें हम बहुत सारी चीजें हमने डिस्कस की थी, right? So here the one related topic it is here to learn the institution of the higher learning basically. So in terms of the educations and learning we will be discussing it here, right? So first that is the Gurukul system. ठीक है, Gurukul system में आपको पता है that how was the Gurukul system in which the teacher जिसको आज हम बोलते हैं उनको हम उस समय जो है आज भी, but that teacher basically called the guru, and that were in the ashram that the teaching process were, right? So the Gurukula system basically one of the oldest and most prominent education system, right? Oldest and most prominent education system in the ancient India. And in this system a student lived in their teacher lived with their teachers in the ashram, right? So अगर आपने आश्रम देखा है, have you seen the ashram, everybody? Not the movies, right? Not the movies which in the MX player we had discussed it yesterday. Everybody? Not the web series. Yes, ashram, Gurukul system wala ashram. Yes, exactly. तो आश्रम में ही ये ज्ञान का आदान प्रदान होता था, that is the imparting the knowledges to the students from the teachers that were in the ashram only, right? So the guru imparted the knowledges through the oral teaching. There was not such type of the blackboards and all, right? Yes, as the you see in the methodology, the Ramayana and Krishna, okay? So through the oral teaching and discussion, that the guru was imparting the knowledges and focusing on the various subjects like the scriptures, philosophy, ethics, practical skills. So a lot of the darshans and Upanishads and all we had discussed it. ये जितने सारे चीजें हमने discuss किया, the whether it is the talk of the Upanishad or the darshan or some mythological चीजें, जो भी चीजें हमें इम्पार्ट करनी थी knowledge, that the basically it was the whole system was called the Gurukul system, and majorly the oral teaching and discussions were mainly used to teach. These all were teaching methods to teach, right? So there was no such kind of the digital educations and the blackboard and all. So there was not such tools and techniques which you used to teach, but they basically they were using the oral teachings and the discussions, right? All over our Indian mythology, there is mention of the Gurukulas ashram education system. Yes, exactly. That's why if you would see, अगर आप देखेंगे यहाँ पे, अगर आप यहाँ पे भी देखेंगे that I have mentioned it here. See, just a bit. Yes, if you would see it here that I have used that the ashram, right? If you would see the ashram Gurukul systems, if in all together it is said basically in the Indian mythology, that is the Gurukul ashram education system. So Gurukul was only that the knowledge was being imparted in the ashram only, right? So people used to sit, right? कुछ ऐसा bench table वगैरह कुछ नहीं, that I wanted to show you the pictures, but कुछ pictures दिखाना चाह रहा था Gurukul systems का, that how it was basically, so that you can relate it better. But see here that in also you can under the tree. Yes, exactly under the tree and all. So ये था Gurukul system जहाँ पे हर तरीके की शिक्षा right? That they would that the students were expected to serve their guru and contribute to the household course with the studying, right? So सिर्फ जो है पढ़ाई ही नहीं, उनके साथ कई सारी चीजें आप देखेंगे बहुत सारे सीरियल्स में, right? Many of the serials and many of the films and cinema, it has been portrayed about the ancient education systems that was a Gurukul system basically, and that the how the yes, exactly. The archery we are also taught. This is what it's about, the practical skills that we are talking it about. Yes, exactly. Ferry has given the wonderful example as in the practical skills, how it was being taught that the she has shared with us, that is archery. So archery भी सिखाया जाता था, that was a basically other than the oral teachings and the discussion, that was a basically practical. So all were the practical skills and also the ethics, that the ethics of the what is the ethics of the life basically, that is basically taught, and the philosophy as well, some of the scriptures and the art and all. So that basically taught. So mainly this is not all the related subjects like the mass communications or history and all, this were not basically this all the philosophy, ethics and the practical skills like which you have shared with us. So these were the teaching methods and the discussions that were being taught to the uh, स्टूडेंट्स, राइट्स. सो अगर उसी तरीके से कुछ चीज़ें हम डिस्कस करें, जैसे हमने अभी डिस्कस किया कि दर्शन है, उपनिषद है, राइट, वेद है. सो दैट लाइक द ऋग्वेद, सामवेद, अथर्ववेद, यजुर्वेद, ये सारे जो वेद है, फोर वेदस, दैट बेसिकली द वेदस वेर यूज टू, दैट it is a source of the primary source of the knowledges were there, right? So ये सारे knowledge के source है, how the things were being used to teach to the students in the ashram. So that was also to learn here the practical skills like the self defense. Okay, self defense, आत्मरक्षा करना भी, that was an important thing, right? So this all were being taught, right? आज के इसको थोड़ा सा modern करे तो ये क्या हो गया, martial arts हो गया, or some kind of the karate, judo, right? These all are basically, but there it was already about it in that, right? Muhammad Khalid saying the books hota tha to books basically, see, the this was a Gurukul system, right? So Guru was that whatever their experiences that they had filled, जो भी उनकी अनुभव होती थी, जो भी उनकी life experiences होते थे, that was basically used to teach to the students, imparting the knowledges to the students, right? आप ग्रंथ की बात कर सकते हैं, राइट? सो जितने जो है, दिस ऑल वी आर डिस्कसिंग द नॉलेज, प्राइमरी सोर्स ऑफ द नॉलेज वेयर दिस ऑल द वेदास, उपनिषद, दर्शन, ग्रंथ, राइट? यस. So basically if you go with this all, that the some impact, some practical things also that we had to discuss it. So these were some subjects like the scriptures, philosophy, ethics and the practical, right? Yes, Puran also, Vedas, Purans are the books. These are basically, yes, exactly, right? So ये आप books एक तरीके के ऐसी किताबें नहीं बोल सकते चेतन भगत and all, but basically this was related to the some the there was a deep knowledge in that, the life learning things were written in that, right? In the Vedas and Puranas. So that was a basically a thing that we used to study to impart the knowledges to the students, right? So guru और शिष्य की परंपरा हम यहाँ पे कह सकते हैं. Yes, these all are based, yes, exactly the Vedic ग्रंथ. ठीक है. So ये ग्रंथ जो है, ये सारी चीजें पढ़ाया जाता था, बताया जाता था. So this was basically a Gurukul system where the that all things that discussion under the tree, पेड़ के नीचे ही, आजकल बेंच और टेबल और कुर्सी और स्मार्ट क्लासरूम और डिजिटल क्लासरूम की बात नहीं करते. That there was जहाँ पे मैं हो गया वहां पे बैठ गए और वहां पे हमने शिक्षा ग्रहण की, राइट? सो दैट इज व्हाट दैट कि that how the bondings were there between the teachers and the students, right? So wherever they were feeling to gain the knowledge, they were sitting on the ground surface and they were under the tree that they were sitting, and that the gurus were imparting the knowledges to the shishya, right? Their shishya or their students. So that is the Gurukul system, basically the oldest and most prominent education systems in ancient India. So that is an important to understand. So you, if you would to talk more on the Gurukul systems, the lot of the things are there which we had mentioned, only the name here. सिर्फ गुरुकुल सिस्टम्स को हमने यहाँ पे मेंशन किया, ठीक है, बट inside it how the study, what are the knowledges which we are being shared, what are the grants which we are being shared, what are the practical skills which we are being shared, how the teachers were imparting the knowledge, right? What the other than the studies were there, right? How the gurus were contributing and imparting the knowledges to the students, and how the students were uh, sharing this all. So this is basically, it's about the Gurukul system. So if you understood more and more in detail about it, Gurukul system, so you can read it. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा हमने शॉर्ट किया है क्लास के पर्पस से. So Mohammed Khalid is saying that in Madras, Maulanas play the role of the gurus. Yes, exactly. So उस तरीके से आप जो है चीजें समझ सकते हैं कि इन मदरसा में क्या होता है कि बेसिकली that they are the on the place instead of the guru that we are talking in the as like in the ashram. So madrasa mein basically that is the there is the Maulana, right, who used to teach, right? Yes, same as an ashram, the same, right? Yes, it is as same here. So that basically you have to learn in at all, right? ये सारी चीजें आपको उसी तरीके से समझना है as in the in other community how it is basically, right? So yes, exactly, it is same. Great, great. So now we will move towards to understand the another institution of the higher learning, that is the Takshila. ठीक है? Yes, yes, exactly. Mira is also saying the same. You can relate it, but it could not be to the same, right? Because some of the that cultures, some of the some environment and some to be different, right? Yes, exactly. So as the Muhammad Khalid saying that Buddhists also follow this method, right? Every in every communities, every religions that you would follow some pattern of the ancient educations that how they were being, right? Because there was not no kind of the such technology where there be in that time, right? कि भी किसी भी तरीके कोई ऐसा टेक्नोलॉजी या कुछ ऐसा क्लासरूम और कुछ ऐसा एजुकेशन में कुछ नया टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई या ऐसा कुछ नहीं था, right? There was no such kind of the YouTube and all, but how they were imparting the knowledges to the students and how the students were gaining the knowledge from the teachers, and what are the teaching methods were there, how what are the subjects were there. This is the things that to understand in every religion, as we discussed in the Vedic or Puran or Granth or Darshan or Vedas की बात करते हैं. The similarly the in the Muslim community and the Muslim religion, that there is something that the Muhammad Khalid has shared the about the, yes, exactly, the Sufi movement and all. Then madrasa में how they used to teach, right? चलिए. So now here to understand the Takshila. ठीक है, तक्षशिला के बारे में थोड़ा सा डिस्कस करते हैं. See, uh, this is that university that the it is basically renowned as the center of the learning in ancient India, right? Center of learning in ancient India, and it is located in the present day Pakistan. ठीक है? Can anybody will say that in the present day Pakistan के अंदर ही कौन सी डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अंदर that Takshila University is now present? कौन सी? It is in the POK. चलिए थोड़ा सा इसको देख लीजिए, राइट? यस, बेसिकली द क्वेश्चंस इट इज as an the Takshila related. So Takshila was basically the hub of intellectual activity and attracted the scholars and the students from the different parts of the world, right? How the different from the different parts of the world, the students and the scholars were being uh, and gathered together to learn from here these universities. So this university is as popular that we, yes, between Jhelum and Chenab. ठीक है? Yes, Rawalpindi. Very good. चलिए. So Takshila offered a wide range of the subjects, including the grammar, medicine, mathematics, political science, and more. Students had the freedom to choose their teachers and subject of the study. Emphasis was on critical thinking, debate, and research, right? So these are some points which we had inserted related to that. What was the basically the points that critical thinking and debate and research were more open, right? So, and also the student was independent to choose their teachers and as well as the subjects that what they want to study. As we have the today's like the elective subject, right? There is an elective subject is there. It is given in the universities nowadays that to choose the subject what you want to study. Similarly, in this concept which we are uh, saying as in term of the elective, the same it was thousand and thousand years ago, right? So student was basically they were independent to choose their teachers and as well as the subjects also. So Takshila University that they were offering the subjects like this all the grammar, medicine, mathematics, political science, right? Yes, exactly. चाणक्य चाणक्य जो थे जो मेन राइट, सो यहीं से तक्षशिला यूनिवर्सिटी से ही, राइट। इफ यू हैव सीन जो चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य अगर आपने देखा होगा वहां पे भी आपको, या फिर आपने एक बहुत ही अच्छा एक सीरियल है, राइट, इफ यू वुड सी देयर इज अ सीरियल कॉल्ड द पोरस, ठीक है। पोरस एक सीरियल है, इफ यू वुड हैव द टाइम, अगर थोड़ा सा आपको अगर टाइम मिलता है तो यू कैन watch it, that this serial, this is very much important, and you will understand that how in ancient India, right, the educations were being imparted from the from the teachers to the students, right? कैसे उन्हें शिक्षा मिलती थी, कैसे रहते थे, किस तरीके से, so you will understand the whole thing, right? Then you will also understand about the Alexander, ठीक है, Alexander की रणनीति भी आप समझेंगे. You will also know to understand the Chanakya also, right? You will also know, come to know the various universities like the Taxila and all in the Pora serial. So Porus is very much important and in terms of the educations and all. So it is very good serial. ठीक है, आप थोड़ा सा mythological है, but आपको देखना चाहिए, right? I have seen it and I have learned a lot from this serial, that the about the Chanakya, Takshila, Alexander, and many of uh, the leaders you can say. So ये important, please go through that, right? It is already available on the YouTube. You can watch it that. So Takshila, basically, we had to discuss that the location it is important. Okay. If you would say that it is the center of the learning ancient in India, and what it's basically the hub of the intellectual activity, right, which is attracting the scholars and the students, right? And what it offering this university, right, subjects like the grammar, medicine, mathematics, political science, and the student had the freedom to choose the, this is what the USP of this university is, that the students were freedom to choose the teachers and as well as their subjects, right? And the main emphasis was that on this universities that was on critical thinking, debate and research, right? So you have to look over on the institutions of the higher learning, right, that we had discussed the second point. And similarly the third, it is that to know the Nalanda, right? Nalanda University, which is located present day in the Bihar, India, which is one of the most famous and oldest universities in India, right? So ये आपको जानना समझना जरूरी है, right? We know that this is the first university, right? And it is the most famous and the oldest universities which is present day in the Bihar it is located. So it was a vast residential university and आज भी है, आज भी बहुत सारे courses वहाँ पे run होते हैं, like if you would say that many of the foreign language courses are being run nowadays, right? It has been reconstructed, the university has been reconstructed, but on the same name it is, but the many of the courses like the foreign courses are there, right? Like foreign language courses, you can go through the courses like the Spanish, Persian, right? So ये सारी चीजें आप language courses कर सकते हैं वहाँ पे से. So basically we are talking about the ancient educations that it was basically a vast residential university which flourished between the 5th and the 12th centuries. Okay, Nalanda attracted the scholars from the various regions like the China, Tibet, Korea, Central Asia, right? As we, right, if you would visit the Nalanda University, you would see that many of the foreigners are there, right? Who is learning from the Nalanda universities, right? So Nalanda has attracted since their establishment uh, till today's, that they are attracting the scholars from the various countries, right, or the regions that the China, Tibet, Korea, Central Asia. So the curriculum covered this in this universities like the uh, in diverse fields like the philosophy, logic, astronomy, even medicine, linguistic, Buddhist studies, right? Yes, and also the many of the Buddhist studies are also nowadays, right? ये भी आपको बहुत सारे courses, Buddhist studies related courses आपको मिलेंगे वहाँ पे, right? So if you would see the online portal of the Nalanda University, you would understand this all, right? So एक बार आपको सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज के जो है पोर्टल पे जाकर आपको देखना चाहिए, वहाँ पे लर्न करना चाहिए what is basically in present day today, right? What the current status of this university it is. You should must visit the portal and understand the current scenario. So students were being engaged in rigorous intellectual pursuits in discussion, research. So ये so common है, right? Discussion, debates, and research where it is the it you can say this university was facilitating and engaging the students in this way. And these were the subjects in which the universities was mainly covering this all curriculum, that the logic, astronomy, and medicine and all linguistics. So as जो है linguistic and Buddhist studies are the main primary courses of these universities in nowadays. And other than that is the philosophy, logic, and astronomy were uh, in the ancient this Nalanda University, ठीक है, पुरानी जो नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटीज में ये सारे कोर्सेज एंड से सारे फील्ड्स जो है कवर होते थे, right? So basically this university is an important to understand the places and subjects and all, right? Another that institution that we will move to understand, that is the Vikramshila. Okay, Vikramshila was another prominent Buddhist center of the learning in ancient India, right? Buddhist center of learning in ancient India located in present day Bihar. Okay, so it was established by the King Dhampal in the 18th century. So founder is also important. Please look on it, right? ये आपके लिए important. Match the following questions के लिए important. So please remember it. So King Dhampal has established this Vikramshila University in the Bihar, right? And it was established in the 8th century. And like Nalanda, Vikramshila attracted similarly the scholars and the students from the different parts of the world, especially those interested in the Buddhist studies, right? So as we had told you that it was another prominent Buddhist center of learning in ancient India. So many of the subjects and uh, the curriculum was related to the Buddhist studies, and then it was focused on the philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, logic, tantra, medicine, right? Sorry, this is meditations. So बुद्धिस्ट रिलेटेड स्टडीज में सारी चीजें जो आपको ये सब रिलेटेड सब्जेक्ट्स थे. So this was basically it's called the hub of the Buddhist studies, right? And its related subjects were being taught in these universities, and this was the main thing that the it has attracted the scholars and the students, right? Next, it is the after the Vikramshila, Nalanda, Vikramshila, Takshila, and that is the University of 𝗲𝗏, right? University of 𝗲𝗏 that located in the Gujarat was a renowned center of the learning during the 6th to the 12th century. Okay, so it is an important. Please go through the place and place or the location of these particular universities. So it offers the courses in the various disciplines like the Sanskrit, grammar, logic, philosophy, law, literature, and the students and scholars gather here to engage in the debates, discussion, research. So common चीजें हैं कुछ चीजें, right? But you have to only focus on these things because सारी universities का वही है कि education impart करना, and basically so main thing it is important to understand that is the place where it was located, right? So we'll list you that list of the institutions that, right, definitely will provide in the study material, and some of the list I will discuss it here, right? So आश्रम एंड फॉरेस्ट एकेडमिक्स की बात कर लेते हैं, राइट? So apart from this all formal institutions, and ancient had also India had a tradition of the ashrams, right, which is also known as that is hermitages. It is it on the name of the Sardar Vallabh? Yes, exactly. So see, अगर हम इसको वल्लभी को नहीं अगर डिस्कस करते हैं थोड़ा सा, अगर आप इसकी हिस्ट्री में जाएंगे, राइट? If you would go to the all universities history, you would come to know that on what who were the founder on it, right? So अगर फाउंडर पे आप जाएंगे, नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी के फाउंडर हो, चाहे वो आपके बलवी यूनिवर्सिटीज के फाउंडर हो, चाहे वो तक्षशिला के हो, सो देयर हैज एन ग्रेट हिस्ट्री, राइट? बहुत ही अलग हिस्ट्री है. if you would see about it. So अगर आप वल्लभी यूनिवर्सिटीज की बात करें तो basically you have to go in to understand this its history. So वल्लभी history basically, yes, it is in the Gujarat, and that was a king basically. King थे, right? Whose name is the basically एक नाम था, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, that भतरकाटा नाम से कुछ था, right? If I had I studied in the last year, and Balvi was basically was a king, ठीक है? And he was from the, yes, exactly, Mathura king, right? So he was basically the Buddhist, and that's why that their uh, एक उनकी जो चीज़ें हैं वो आप यूनिवर्सिटीज में भी देखी वो चीज़ें, एंड मेनली दैट इट इज कॉल्ड एज एन चाइनीज पिलग्रिम थे, राइट? यस, एग्जैक्टली, चाइनीज पिलग्रिम थे. इट इज नॉट ऑन द नेम ऑफ सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल, बिकॉज इफ यू लुक इट इन द सेंचुरीज हियर, सेंचुरीज का है सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल अब के हैं 1947 एंड ऑल, राइट? एंड कहाँ ये बल्लवी, ठीक है, सेंचुरीज है, वो है 12th सेंचुरीज की, यानी 600 से लेकर 1200 के इसमें है, ठीक है? So if you would go to understand this all, you would understand that what the history of basically. So Valvi की history आप थोड़ा सा अगर आप जानना चाहते हैं तो you can go and read it. It is already given. It is as the one of the name she has shared, Mira has shared, that is Maitraka, right? During this period, it is all related with the Buddhism, right? Buddhist learning. So Buddhist Vavi University was basically, you can understand as it was an important center of the Buddhist learning, right? So the Chinese pilgrim was there who founded this university, ठीक है? So बहुत ही पहले की चीजें हैं ये सब, so आपको सब जानना जरूरी है. Yes, exactly. So year has been all she is sharing that between 600 to the 1400, right? Chale. So ashram and forest academics, as you can see here, that the apart from this formal institution, ancient India also had a tradition of the ashram and the forest academics, ठीक है? So rishi, that called says, जिसको मतलब होता है महात्मा, and the scholars would establish the ashram in the forest areas where the students would live and study under their guidance, right? So forest may be forest academics, right? Inside of the forest, right? That the ashram were being established, right, by the scholars, by the rishi called the Mahatma sages, and the scholars, that they both were establishing the ashrams in the forest areas where they were living and studying under their guidance, right? This is what it's about, that how in ancient India the apart from the formal institutions were being uh, playing a role in imparting the knowledges and imparting the educations and facilitating this transmission of the knowledges, right? So the ashram provided a close teacher-student relationship and facilitating the transmission of knowledge in a contemplative and the natural environment, right? So this was, and we had discussed in the ashrams also, right? How in the ashrams the educations were being imparted under a tree, right? Similarly, inside the forest, that they were both establishing the ashram, and that they were living together, and that is the students were learning and respecting the rishis, and the rishis that they guided the scholars, right? So basically at that time it is not as seed the students, right? Students और ये चीजें बहुत ही कम use होता था. Basically it is known to be as a scholar, right? So basically we now today we had differentiated that student and the scholars and all. Basically at that time the जो हम शिष्य बोलते हैं, that basically the scholars, it is said, right, that basically they were trying to find, right, वो search करते थे, they were exploring the things, right? So that's why they called basically शोधार्थी, right? Exactly, शिष्य. So subjects and curriculum, it is all about that the instant education encompasses the wide range of the subjects, right, which we had studied, like the mathematics, astronomy, medicine, grammar, linguistic, philosophy, Upanishad, Vedas, right? So medicine, maybe that is not the English medicine, that is Ayurveda, politics, ethics, literature, fine arts. ये सारे जो है जितने सब्जेक्ट्स आज हम पढ़ते हैं उससे कहीं 10 times ज़्यादा जो है, that was a basically subject that we had studied. अगर आपने पढ़ा होगा that we had discussed in Upanishad में भी हमने पढ़ा, दर्शन में भी हमने पढ़ा, that how the this all were the sources of the knowledges which were it is called, right? So para vidyas and apara vidyas we had to discuss it, right? So how the Brahminical were teachings, right, and gaining the knowledges. Okay, so this is a basically emphasis on the oral transmission, the memorization of the text, critical thinking, practical applications of the knowledge like the archery which you have shared with us, right? One of the good example. So these all are basically the subjects and curriculum related things that it is in the ancient educations. Other than this, I would list out some universities here. Some कुछ universities आप orally हम डिस्कस कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे, और कुछ हम आपको स्टडी मटेरियल्स के अंदर भी प्रोवाइड कर देंगे, राइट? सो बेसिकली इफ यू लुक talk it like the Vikram University, this is an important, anybody would say that where the Vikram University is located? Vikram University, that is in MP Ujjain, ठीक है? So please note it down the some universities which I am writing it here. That is Kanchipuram University, okay? Kanchipuram University, okay? Where is the Kanchipuram University? That is in Tamil Nadu, right? Yes. Some of the universities like the Kashi Vishwanath, yes. Ratnagiri आप ले सकते हो, Ratnagiri University, yes. Ratnagiri Universities, that is Ratnagiri University which is in Odisha. Okay. Many of the universities like you can take it like Odantapuri, Pushpagiri, right? Yes. So there are some universities which I will list of all the institutions. Yes, exactly.